Tennis IQ podcast. I'm Brian Lomax.
And I'm Josh Berger. And for today's episode, we are interviewing Brian Park. Brian Park got his master's in sports psychology and worked as a high performance coach and sports psychology performance consultant, helping competitive tennis players to reach their full potential. Brian is now the CEO and founder of Apeak, an app that tennis players can use to train the mental game in an affordable and accessible way. In this conversation, we're going to be talking about Brian's background, as well as learning more about Apeak. Enjoy this conversation with Brian Park.
Brian Park, welcome to the Tennis IQ podcast. It's a pleasure to have you here today.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here as well and share my experiences and hopefully we can bring some value to our listeners.
I'm sure we will. And obviously we're going to talk a lot about the Apeak app and how it can help players with their mental training and that aspect of it. But we'd love to learn more about you, Brian. Your journey in tennis, how you got started and moved into coaching and sports psychology. So yeah, give us some background on who you are and how your tennis journey, has come to this point.
Yeah. Well, I try to make it as short as possible. I hated studying when I was young. Had an opportunity to join the tennis team, and I said no. And the coach told me that if you join the team, you don't have to go to school in the afternoon classes. And I was like, I'm in.
What an incentive!
So that's how I got started. And then I just fell in love with it and got into it, and then went to Australia to play ITF. I play the training in Australia and play all these tournaments. And I was there for 2 years. Got to play the Australian Open Juniors 2 years. 1 year I lost in the qualified 1 year, and I was ranked as high as 63 in the World Juniors and traveled and tried to make it, but it wasn't good enough. So went to college and played college tennis for BYU Hawaii, where it was D2 school. We won the NCAAs. The second year I played, we had an amazing team, amazing coaches, and the players. It was an unbelievable experience that I had. And then I went to Utah State because I wanted to get into sports psych. Actually, when I was playing for BYU Hawaii, I got herniated disc. I was diagnosed with herniated disc. So then I was still planning on trying to make it. But because I was diagnosed with herniated disc, I figured that I got to do something. And now I'm going to have to study, which I didn't enjoy until that point. So I had no choice but really study and get into sports psych, and which I just fell in love with it when I was young, and I found that was most helpful to me when I was competing in a junior circuit. So I got to read it. One of the book called Mental Toughness for Sports, which was wrote by Dr. Jim Laird, and one of my really good coach introduced me to that book, and he gave me the book, and that was the beginning of it, sports psych. Regardless of it, I, went to Utah State, finished my degree, went to Cal State Fullerton, studied under Ken Revizar, who's a legend in baseball. He worked with the Chicago Cubs and Dodgers and Angels and helped Chicago Cubs to win the World Series and many other professional athletes. And so I got to work with him. He was my, committee, the chair committee, and got my master's there, which was an amazing experience. Yeah, that's kind of my tennis plus my education side,
Yeah, working with Ken Revizar, you mentioned he's a legend in baseball. He's just a legend in the sports psychology field itself, and when he passed away a few years ago, many people really felt that. And
I know, yeah.
So that must have been a wonderful experience. So then you've got your master's. And of course, like a lot of young sports psychology graduates, the question becomes, what do I do now? And I think that led you maybe into coaching?
Yeah. So the world of sports psych, this is one of the reasons why I started Apeak, and I'd love to get into it later.
Yeah.
But it's so unfortunate in a way that you get your degree in master's, and it's tough to get out and start consulting and teaching athletes to understand how the mental skills could be beneficial for them alone is a difficult process, but trying to get them to actually do consultation with you is even difficult, right? So I it was a natural thing for me to get into coaching. So I did get into coaching, which I was actually coaching while I was getting my master's, because I grew up in a very humble family, didn't have so much money, and I had to kind of work my way through all the educations and everything. Um, so, so I did that, and I was coaching, and by the time I was done with the college, by the time I was done with the master's program, somehow I was lucky to work with a couple of players that were really talented, and they became number one in the country in their age group, and that kind of led me to have a big academy. And then, the club owner really liked me, and so everything just kind of worked out. And I was able to get the green card from the club. They sponsored me, and then I was able to work there for many years and ran an academy. And we had a homeschool program, and we had a lot of good players, and so it was fun. Yeah.
So during that time, when you were coaching tennis, and I think there was definitely some overlap in my journey as well, where I was, coaching for many years on court, and trying to, incorporate my sports psychology background and use mental skills and, sports psychology skills and tools on the court with athletes. How did you feel that helped you and contributed to you as a coach?
It was unbelievable, tremendous experience, and I don't think I would have that much of a success in coaching without sports psych. That 100%. So it was really fresh, like when I was getting my master's, because I was learning so much from Dr. Ken Reviser and other professors and everything, and I was already familiar with it because I read so many books and I was really into it. But being able to apply everything you learn, how to do guided visualizations, how to help them with the progressive relaxations, and just running that with the players was amazing experiences. And I had a couple of the players that I worked with, they lived really far away. And I was very determined to really, doing my best to help players. So I took on a couple of players to stay at my apartment, and they were staying at my apartment because their house was so far away to drive. And I was feeding them, and they were homeschool kids, and they were studying. I was training them 5 hours a day, and at night, I would do a guided visualization or the goal setting. I would have them read something. I would have them at least spend 30 minutes doing mental training. And the results were just unbelievable. And I worked with one kid named Lawrence Formentera, and he was actually kind of really helped me to kind of establish coaching. And I was lucky enough. He was a very, very talented kid, but mentally had some issues. And me spending time with him and him staying at my house and doing that was just an amazing experience. And he went from, being like 100 in the country to being number one in the country in a matter of 8 months, or like 9 months. And when he was age 15, he already made the finals of the 18 sectionals, where he beat players like Stevie Johnson, Braley Kwong, and he beat players like Nicholas Meister and all these guys, and lost to Ryan Fetcher in the finals of the 18 sectionals when he was 15 only. So that whole experience just opened my eyes, and that led me to continue with that journey and really emphasizing the mental side of the game, and that kind of helped me to establish my name among with so many other great coaches in the area in SoCal, which is there's a lot of good coaches out there. So it was just a amazing experience. Yeah.
So let's transition to, out of coaching. You obviously now have your business, Apeak Tennis, developing an app. How did this originate, this idea? Where did you see that there was a need for this? And maybe how did you come to that revelation, and how did this whole Apeak thing really begin?
Well, I just had that burning desire to create something that would really make mental training accessible and affordable. But never really had the guts or the confidence to really dive in and do it. I think we all maybe have that, right? So, but I knew that throughout the coaching years, I ran high performance tennis academy for 16 years, and all those years, I was very lucky that because of the sports psych education that I had, I was able to stand out and really run a good program. And we had every year, every program that I run, we had over 20 kids on the wait list trying to get into the program, and so because of that, I mean, I was able to save some money, and I was able to kind of take a big risk and just dive right in. And then I met really good partners who were great engineers and designers, and we partnered together and we started this journey. When I got into it, I thought it was going to be easier, but it's been very, very difficult, long journey. I just wanted to create an app that could empower so many lives in a positive way and make mental training accessible and affordable, most importantly, and also personalized. And it just so trying to figure that out last 2 years has been a long road and difficult journey, but I feel very optimistic that what we have now after many revisions and also with Dr. Laird's partnership, it's amazing, and the feedbacks we're getting from users, it's been just great. I just love it. Yeah.
So you mentioned Dr. Laird, and I know Dr. Jim Laird has joined the team. I know he's become a big part of Apeak. Can you tell us a little bit more about how he got involved and how he has helped Apeak get to where you are right now?
Yeah, how he got involved is this interesting story. Because when I first started the company, I knew that I don't have a big enough name or the experiences. So even though I tried to create this training module and product, I was confident that I can figure out the technology side of it with our team, and also created content that's going to be very helpful for the users. But trying to get the users to buy in and trying to create a content that is really powerful, I knew that I had some limitations. So I actually told my partners that we're going to create this beta version, and then I'm going to do everything I can to stalk Dr. Laird and just find a way to convince him. I'm going to camp in front of his house and do whatever I can to convince him, at least, get a no, from him. There was kind of a joke over the drink when we were talking with the partners. So after 1 year, we launched the beta version. Tried to get a hold of Dr. Laird, was impossible, and it was COVID, so I could not, of course, be camping in front of his house would be unethical. It would be the wrong thing to do. So I started to message him once a week with the different messages in LinkedIn. Just really begging him to just have a meeting, just at least understand what we're doing. So 4 months goes by, and he actually got back to me, and I was super excited to see his message. And I opened the message, and he said, "Brian, I love your persistence, but I'm not interested. Best of luck to you." And my heart just fell, and I was just so devastated. But of course, I just kept going. I just kept messaging him next week and week after. So I think he got sick of me. He probably, so he decided to meet. So we met. I just showed him what we have developed and the methodology and the content. And he just loved it. And 30 minutes into the meeting, he said, "I'm in." So ever since then, it's just been amazing. So he got in. He has changed all of our content, improved them. We recorded a lot of our content. He recorded himself. We have about 40 training modules that he recorded, and he's going to continue to produce more content. He's in the process of finishing his book, so he's been very busy, but he's going to get back. But our agreement is that he will continue to produce new content and release new content, monthly. So it's been him being involved has just changed everything. The credibility, the content, the quality of the content, and the partnership that he can really connect us. It's just been amazing.
Yeah, I mean, he's a legend, obviously, in sports psychology, but also especially in the tennis world. And I would assume that most of our listeners know who he is, or perhaps have seen the 16-second cure on YouTube, or been exposed with a sports site coach. And so it is great that you have him as part of the team developing content for you, because he's just done so much research over the years. I mean, if anybody who's seen the 16-second cure, I believe it was produced in 1989. I mean, that's how long ago that kind of research was done. And so it's awesome that he's still out there practicing and producing more and more content, because he's just so thoughtful. And one of the things I love about his approach, Brian, and maybe this is built into it or not, I would imagine it is, but there's a lot of stuff, and you actually wrote about this with respect to Carlos Alcaraz.
Yes.
Dr. Laird pays a lot of attention to the character of players, and how important that is, and how that's like the only way to win. In fact, that's one of the names of his books. It's like the only way to win. Tell us a little bit about that aspect of this training program.
Yes. So first of all, like working with Dr. Laird has been an amazing experience. He's not only his legend and his work is amazing, but he's just an unbelievable person. And he's funny, and he's just, I mean, I could not be more grateful for his partnership and his involvement. And then just learning from him last year has been just transformational for me. I thought I was pretty good when I was coaching and teaching mental skills. But I guess I was not. And, it really opened my eye to importance of helping players to get their purpose right. And as you mentioned, and he's legend, he's the founder, he's the person who really started this whole journey of helping players to get their purpose right. And the purpose is everything. And I could not agree more with that, because when I started to really implement his methodology of helping players to get their purpose right, and that becomes a foundation. It's like if you have a great foundation when you build a house, you're gonna be able to build a house that's gonna last a long time. But if you don't have a great foundation, it's fragile. So even though you build a fancy house on top of it, it's not gonna last a long time. So it is amazing to see some of the recent consultants that I've been working with, and when I get them to really help, when I'm able to help them using Dr. Laird's method to help them to find the right purpose, why they play tennis, and helping them to get away from the reasons why they play tennis is to play on a higher lineup on a college team, or to make the lineup, or to play college tennis or be highly ranked. When you have this type of a outcome-oriented extrinsic value purpose, then you're constantly out there worrying about if you're winning or losing, or what other people may think, or what other my coaches might think. It's very stressful, right? So if you can really help them to change their purpose and repurpose why they play tennis, it's been an unbelievable experience to see the transformation and see the changes from the consultants that I work with. So just his work. I mean, we have all these training modules in our app, and utilizing consulting to point it out to them. It has been very easy because I cannot do guided visualization or the trainings every day for them, but having the app itself and being able to point it out, it's been very easy for me to help them to find their purpose. So just his work, could not speak highly about it. He just, it's so important in our society, isn't it? That purpose.
Absolutely. Yeah, and I think you hit the right question of why you're playing. And I think it's also important to recognize the role of competition in your purpose, because that in itself produces, stress and pressure. And if you have a better foundation for looking at that and have a stronger purpose that is more, as you said, intrinsic, within you, that really drives that enjoyment of it. I think that's huge for players.
Yeah, but not only the players too, but I mean, I had interesting experience that I had to work with recently. A player and a parent, and the parent didn't realize that he perhaps were expressing wrong purpose um, to his son. And then when we got deep into it, he realized that, okay, the reason why I wanted my son to play tennis was to use tennis to become a better person, because sports can teach a lot of these great characters, like dealing with adversity, being present, believing in yourself when you cannot, and all these different great characters that comes with it, with the competition. And he kind of lost track on that, on himself. And when he was able to communicate that well with the kid, with the son, and when the kid was able to repurpose his why he plays tennis, all of a sudden the whole family is happy, and the kid is. We haven't even talked one thing about the mental skills, about being present or believing in yourself, or tactical adjustments or whatever. We haven't talked anything about that. We just spent 3 weeks helping them to get their purpose right with the 2 sessions, and all of a sudden he's winning nationals and making finals of ITF, and it just that's how powerful the purpose is.
So I agree. I think that's a really great place to start, and as you said, the foundation of a consulting relationship, and of for a player to better understand why they're doing this, why are they training on a regular basis, why are they competing, as you brought up, Brian. I love that that's really that starting point, and that Dr. Lear has it been able to contribute that. So I guess my question is, logistically, could you give our listeners a better sense for really what a lesson in Apeak entails, just in terms of, sort of what they can expect?
Yeah, we have over 150 different training modules that are designed to. So just think of it like, let's say, 5 modules for getting the purpose right, like 6 modules for remaining present, 7 modules for building confidence, and it's categorized in different ways. So the players can really work on any parts of their mental game, whether that is managing expectations, improving their tactical awareness, which is, when you have off days, what do you do? How do you adjust? How do you adapt? Reading your opponent. It just has older. I believe that the only thing that we're missing right now is a between points, 60 seconds between points. We were working on that with Dr. Laird before we really got busy with writing new book. So we have a script already written, and we need to finalize them and get it recorded. And so we'll have that soon. And that's the only thing that's missing. And I feel like we have everything that you need to become a better tennis player in terms of the mental side of it when it comes to tennis. And of course, can it be better? Of course, it could be better. We'll improve, we'll adopt, even more advanced AI functionality, and improve our, UI and the performance of the app, and bring in some interesting, like progressive relaxation exercises that players can do at night to recover. I'm a big believer in neurotraining as well. So adopting some of the neurotraining functionality to improve their eye coordination and their decision making. So I really believe that there's long ways to go, but we feel like we have made significant progress on where we are. And then we have Apeak Coach coming out soon. So that's going to really change everything for the coaches.
Yeah, could you tell us a little bit more about? I know we have coaches who tune in about what they can expect with a peak coach.
Yeah, AP Coach will be it'll be basically for now it'll be completely free coaching tool, which coaches can learn and improve their ability to better help their players on mental skills, utilizing app or not utilizing app, or us teaching them interesting different drills to improve their mental skills. Coaches will be able to connect with the players through the app. So, for example, if I'm a tennis coach and I have 20 students I work with, I can invite my players to connect with me. So when I send the invitation, if the players accept the invitation, whether they have an account or not have an account, if they don't have an account, they have to create the account, then I'll be connected. So all the data from the app and the activities will be given to me. So as a coach, I'll be able to see everything. If they're doing the training, their engagement level, what topic of mental training are they working on, what AI training feedback did they do, meaning that what kind of challenges did they face on previous matches or previous days, so that it gives me a great insight of what's going on players' head, and therefore I can provide feedback to the players on a specific day and say, "Hey, last Friday you played this match and you wrote this. Hey, here's my feedback, and these are the trainings I think you should focus on," and so forth. So we're going to start with that, and then we're going to, of course, expand and make it much more better, where in a way that the coaches can themselves customize the training for the users, like almost like giving them a homework. And here are the trainings that you need to focus on based on your needs. So it kind of puts the coaches on a driver's seat. So we're empowering coaches and they become a driver to really monitor and guide them throughout the whole journey of their mental development.
Well, it seems like a nice platform for a player's entire performance team to be a part of, because you're mentioning a coach, but it also seems let's say that player has a mental performance coach, that would also be a place for them to connect. Maybe even a strength and conditioning coach, could be on there so that everybody's in one place, exchanging ideas and information, and like you said, understanding the data. Because perhaps that player is traveling, or maybe your coaches are virtual in some regard. Do you see it working that way as well, Brian?
Yes. We first started with having only one coach being a mentor of a player, but we made the change. So now the user can have multiple coaches. So that means user can have on a university team, men's and assistant, the head coach and assistant coach as a mentor, being able to monitor everything. And also sports psych person could be the mentor consultant, mentor coach could be on there as well. So one player, we could have 3 people that are mentoring and exchanging the communication in a way that everybody's on the same page. So that was one other reason why I wanted to create Apeak, was because, oftentimes when I was practicing sports psych consulting, that I would work with the player, and then the communication between, what I work with the player and then the coach and the player is not there. So I had to spend a lot of time emailing, writing them, or getting on a call, updating them. It's difficult. It's a long process, but with Apeak Coach available, it'll be a lot easier for everybody to be on the same page. So that when the coach provides the feedback to the player, and as a sports psych consultants can be able to see that, and so that we're on the same page on that, so that we're not giving different ideas and different messages that confuses the player.
I think that's great. I think it's great for everybody to be on that same page and to provide a platform to do that, so everybody can be in the loop. And I think it also adds an extra layer of accountability. It helps to keep the athlete accountable. If certainly if they know that people can check in, whether it's their coach, whether it's other people on the performance team. So I think that's an important element too. So you mentioned the future of Apeak. Where in what ways do you see Apeak growing? Do you see it growing into other sports potentially? And what could be ahead for Apeak in the next year, 2 years, 5 years down the road?
Yeah, we are planning on launching an app that covers all other sports by early next year. So, and it's not too difficult for us to do that because we have the infrastructure, we have built the technology that allows us to do that. Working on the content will be time consuming, but I think that we can do it with a team that we have. Beyond just going to all other sports and partnering with other industry experts in golf or other sports and creating a premium subscriptions like a tennis. Right now, you can think of a tennis as Apeak Tennis as a premium subscriptions. And then we're going to launch an app that covers all other sports, which is we're going to call it Apeak Athlete. Apeak Athlete will be like a basic version where we'll have a content that applies to all sports. And the premium subscriber, like Apeak Tennis, will have access to tennis-specific content as well as the Apeak Basics. Same thing if you launch your app that covers golf, it will be golf premium subscriptions and so forth. Our plan is to have that kind of a specialized content for each sports instead of just having a one app that covers all sports. Which, even though that's important and that's helpful, but and just beyond tennis, beyond athletic, I think that, as you guys know, the mental skills that we teach, helping the players to remain present, focused, helping them to, live or play tennis with the right purpose. As you guys know, Dr. Laird ran Human Performance Institute, and there were people that were CEO of large corporations that went through, or the best athletes in the world, like Pete Sampras and all these people went through that program. And it's not just athletic, it's helping human lives to live the life in a meaningful way, and that makes them happy, that helps them to manage their expectations, remain present, focused, believe in themselves, live the life with the right purpose, that purpose inspires them, and that goes beyond just simply being successful, but making a big contribution to life. I believe that that's where we like to head in the future. I know it's a tough road. It's a long road to get there, but I am committed and I am motivated than ever to make that happen with a partnership with like you guys and with a lot of these different experts. And it's no way I'm going to be able to do this by myself. It's going to be a lot of teamwork with a lot of different experts teaming up, and that's why we talked. I think we briefly talked about Apeak, the sports psych marketplace. But that's another reason why I wanted to start the company too, to create more opportunity for sports psych consultants like us to make living and make good living and really be able to do what we love to do, which is helping people, helping athletes, and I am motivated to creating a platform that will allow a lot of sports psychologists and consultants like us to do that.
Yeah, and you can, that you're working hard, Brian, because you're posting a lot on different social media channels. You've got a newsletter that goes out regularly. What are some ways that people can begin to follow the content that you're producing and start understanding a little bit more about Apeak?
Well, the best way to do it is to download the app because it's completely free. We don't have a huge marketing budget, so we don't really spend as much time and trying to get it out there. But one thing that people don't realize is that I will encourage everybody, whether it's coach, parents, players, to download the app, because you don't even have to put your credit card information. It's completely free for 7 days, and after 7 days, there is a resources section where we release weekly mental training tips, like the Arcarez one, and we have another one that's coming out today, actually. And it'll be mental training tips from Dr. Laird occasionally, and hopefully you guys will contribute and you guys will share content as well. And it'll be different experts sharing content And that resources section is completely free. So if you download the app and you don't even pay for it, you have access to very interesting mental training tips that gives you notification weekly, and you can engage in it. And that would hopefully help many of the parents to better educate themselves about the mental side of it. And therefore they can provide better guidance and prevent some, miscommunication between parents and the players. So setting wrong expectations and so forth that could cause a lot of burnouts and the problems, right? So yeah, I mean, that's best way to do it is to download the app because it's completely free.
Which is a
For 7 days.
fantastic way. Yeah, right. Then certain things will probably become unavailable, I imagine.
Yeah, after 7 days, the main core training features get locked so that you cannot access it. But it's it's only like less than $6 a month, so $70 a year. That's, to me, I wish. I mean, I'm always biased, right? Because I'm a CEO of the company. But if I had this when I was playing, I think I would be much better off. Let's just put it that way. Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
Yes.
And have you seen teams? Have teams been starting to use Apeak as well? Whether college, high school, USTA, have there been teams that have gotten involved with Apeak?
Yes, we have. Right now, we have approximately about 20 teams using our app, and we expect to be somewhere around 40 or 50 by fall. Let's keep our fingers crossed. But we signed the deal with ITA, so a lot of the teams tried the app in the middle of the season, and they were just kind of trying it out, and they were not really ready to commit because it was in the middle of the season. But now we're getting a lot of responses and coaches reaching out and signing up, and we're offering very interesting package where Dr. Laird actually agreed to do this. So we're offering 3 different packages where it's a app only, which is very cheap, very affordable, which is only $600. If there are 10 players, it'll give them all the apps and the Apeak Coach, and so that the coaches can monitor progress and all that. And then it goes down to the tiers at standard and premium. And the premium version one, the college teams will have an opportunity to do a 1-hour group session with Dr. Jim there, but it's limited because he's so busy, and I'm so grateful that he agreed to help us and contribute some of his time. So yeah, so we have teams signing up already because I just found that out last weekend. I was talking to Dr. Laird and I was kind of asking him if he would be open to doing that, and he wanted to really help us, so he agreed to do that. And so that means it would be just amazing experience for the team to spend 1 hour with Dr. Jim there, and where he's the original, he's the best of the best on helping players to find their purpose and all that. So, I think that a lot of the college teams will start taking advantage of it, and we have already the teams that I talked to already signed up, and we just found it out, and we started to really reach out to coaches literally in 2 days, and we have we're planning on reaching out to all the college teams next week sometime with the ITA communication. But it's exciting. There's a lot of because what we learned is that app itself is great, but it's only if the players are utilizing. As you guys know, the mental training is science, right? If you do it in the right way, it does work. But getting the players to do it is difficult. App is the vehicle that really delivers content in a way that it's short. It's only 5 minutes. You can do 11 minutes or shorter version, longer version, female or voice, female audio or male voice. We just made it very flexible and easy, and the players can customize their own training. Now, but that alone, I realize it's not enough. There's got to be more, like make group consulting and one-on-one consulting, having one-on-one consulting available for players to take advantage of it throughout the season when they're struggling and they don't perhaps know how to best utilize the app, and they need some guidance, or they're having some issues that app cannot fix it, so they want some guidance. So that's where we are offering some different packages. And so far, feedback has been very good. But it's too early, right? So it's only been a couple of days, so we'll find out. But hopefully, we'll see a lot of the teams start to take advantage of this offering.
Yeah, that would be fantastic. I work with several college teams. I know Josh has as well. And I think you point out the right challenge, Brian, which is, the consistency. We know the science if you do it, but you have to be able to do it consistently. And there's got to be a support system around the app, around the team that makes it part of what they do. Just buying the app in itself doesn't really do anything, right? It has to become part of their standard operating procedure. Do you have any sort of guidance when you start working with a team like, hey, here's really the best sort of engagement or working model that we have seen, or maybe you don't even have that data yet, but maybe that would be something interesting to think about in terms of how you introduce it to teams.
Yeah. So now we're adopting some of this onboarding process. So every team who sign up for basic version, which is very affordable, it includes 30 minutes of a onboarding session with a group of players and the coaches to really showcase them how to best utilize the app so they understand it. We haven't done that before, so we're doing that now. And like you said, I could not agree more with you on that mental side of it, because it's science and it's something that it's like a fitness. Don't you think? It's mental training. It's kind of like fitness. People understand it works, but who likes doing fitness, right? And who likes to close their eyes and visualize? And for 10 minutes, even though it's only 10 minutes, it becomes a kind of something that you need to really get into it and see the benefit of it and have the motivation to really do it and have the guidance from the coaches to do it. And one interesting findings that we're finding is that we have a academy in San Diego that adopted our program really wholeheartedly. They have all of their players using it, and the feedback has been just amazing. That because they're young kids, the parents are pushing it, the coaches are pushing it, they're really using it, and because they are using it, they are seeing the benefits. Now they want to use it more. Trying to get the college kids to do that, it's a little bit different. I think it's a little bit difficult for the college coaches. That's what I'm learning and finding. So having the whole package of a app and the Apeak Coach, where the coach can actually see the data, and as well as having one-on-one consulting available for the ones who are not really utilizing, or the ones who are utilizing but need some additional help. Having the group one-on-one consulting session to really help them to find their purpose. I think all of those will improve the engagement level of the players. And if they're engaged more, then they will improve, Yeah.
Yeah, well, I think as we start to wrap up the conversation, I mean, I think the goals that that Apeak has and that you've had in starting this company and starting this app, in terms of making mental training more affordable, more accessible, seem to be met with this app. I really have always felt that that's a big challenge with the field, where I think so many people can benefit from mental training, from learning, mental skills. Yet it's, that it's hard for a lot of people, and from a financial perspective, from a time perspective. So I think, I really do think this can help a lot of people.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I mean, there's huge kudos for you guys as well to have this podcast and educate so many users about the importance of mental training and educating coaches and parents and the players with the different topics, and different topics relates to mental training, as well as explaining the importance of it. I think we all need to kind of work together as a consultants to really make mental training mainstream and allow so many of these athletes, the parents, coaches to utilize this extremely powerful tool. But making it accessible and affordable is a difficult challenge that we still have. And I mean, I guess I'm fortunate enough that I'm in a position where we're trying to do this. But again, we need a lot of help from, passionate people like you guys to make that happen and educate people about it.
Yeah, and I think the more that we can get coaches involved with it as well, right? Because they're going to be, I think, a key support system as well as parents, as you mentioned, but certainly coaches. They just have such an amazing influence on their players, and if they make it part of, well, just this is how we train, and this is what we
Yes.
do, and it becomes more of the habit. I recognize what you're saying about colleges, even if you just forget about the mental side of things. As a college coach, it's tough because you're getting a player who's coming to you with a lot of already formed habits,
Yes.
some of which you may have to, unwind or help them unlearn and so forth, right? So it can be more difficult, I think, to adopt things when you're in college than, say, working with players who are younger, 13 and under. And if they can really get this and make it a part of who they are, their journey through juniors and college tennis will just be so much smoother. Like you said, how good could you have been, Brian, if you had had this type of
Yeah,
thing when you were 12 or 13?
exactly. I mean, yeah, I mean, how powerful would it have been if I knew why I was playing tennis, and
Yeah,
that why the purpose was not to to be highly ranked to win, and the purpose is to use the stress and the competitive demand of tennis to become a better person. And every time I face adversity, I'm going to utilize that adverse situation to become better and become better at problem solving skills and so forth. And just having that kind of a powerful and noble purpose that allows players to enjoy the game more and have fun and embrace challenges. It's interesting. I mean, I had one group session with the One Academy, and as always, the thing comes out with the kids is that, what do you do when you get cheated? And it always goes back to the purpose, isn't it? Where you have to change your perspective about being cheated. Is it being cheated bad, or is it being cheated as an opportunity to make you stronger? So when you can actually get them to buy into that idea, which is what Dr. Laird has been just teaching for so many years, it is just a game changer. Yeah.
absolutely. Well, Brian,
Yes.
thanks for coming on to the podcast today. It's a great conversation, and I know Josh and I both look forward to continuing conversations with you and getting updates on how Apeak is doing. As you mentioned, those listening, if you're interested, you can download the app for free. I imagine it's both Apple and
Yes.
Android, right?
Yes.
So yeah, you get everything on the app for free for 7 days, and then the resources section is always there.
Yes.
Right.
It's always free. So, they will just have it on their phone and get notification when we release new content. So they will be able to engage. And that was one of the reasons why we made it free, because we wanted a lot of the parents and the coaches to really take advantage of it if they don't want to pay for it. And in fact, coaches, we have a lot of coaches actually purchasing the app because for their own education. But the ones who doesn't want to pay for it, they can at least get weekly training tips from somebody like you, me, or Dr. Lair, and so forth.
Yeah, great. Again,
Yeah.
Brian, thanks so much for being here today, and yeah, we look forward to continuing the conversation.
Yes, Josh, Brian, again, huge kudos to you for really helping so many people to be more aware about these powerful mental training tools out there, and love what you guys doing, and I really appreciate the opportunity to be here and share my experiences.
Well, that was a great conversation. I would say the biggest thing that stood out to me was our discussion on purpose. And I know that Dr. Jim Lear has done a lot of work where he talks to athletes about purpose and about finding their purpose. And as we talked about in this conversation, purpose is really foundational, where if a player can, really be clear and do the work to be clear about what their purpose is, that can really be the foundation and the bedrock for their mental game. So I really like that 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 piece is built into Apeak, and that players go through that process of journaling and doing that work to really be clear about what their purpose is, and then figure out how they can utilize it as it relates to their performance and the mental side of their game.
I agree. I think it's fantastic that purpose is built in. I don't know that you necessarily, or that all, when you think of sports psychology or mental performance coaching, that you automatically think about purpose and why you're doing it. But it is that foundation. It's something that you can always go back to and rely on, because I think there will be times where we're distracted from it, where we're looking more at the extrinsic measures and rewards, like our UTR or some other rating or ranking, winning, beating someone, right? More ego-oriented concerns, etc. And if you actually have a well-formed purpose and that you worked on, it just makes it so much easier to navigate some of these difficult challenges. And it's fantastic that it's in this particular training platform. So I'm excited to see how that works for players, etc. So yeah, I think that's great. I totally agree, Josh. That's probably one of the best parts that I heard about Apeak, and players can go from there once they've got that purpose. I think it opens up more and more possibilities of what they can learn on the mental and physical side of things. So yeah, great conversation. So that's our show for today. We want to thank again Brian Park for appearing on the episode, and thank you for listening. For more on today's episode, please check out the show notes. There is a link in there to download Apeak, whether you are an iPhone user or an Android user. So check out the show notes for that. If you have any feedback or questions for me and Josh, please email us at tennisiqpodcast@gmail.com. You can also use the Twitter hashtag tennisiq. Additionally, please subscribe to the show on your podcast platform of choice, including YouTube, so you can be notified of new episodes. And also, please check out our Instagram account. Thanks again, and we'll talk to you soon in our next episode.